Good morning. Welcome back to the second part of antiretroviral therapy. So we have been talking about the treatment of retroviral infection, especially the HIV. We have discussed the groups of a few groups of drugs in detail. Excuse me. In group detail, which includes the nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, then the non-nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitors. Okay, so these are the two group of drugs we have discussed its mechanism of action, its adverse effects, and the members of this group of agents have been discussed in detail, right? Fine. Let's move on to the next group of drugs. So welcome back to part 2 of the antiretroviral therapy. So protease inhibitors are the third group, where you know that proteases are the enzymes which is essential for the final maturation of the viral particles. So once the viral genome is translated and transcribed, this genome can incorporate it into the host cell, and then it start to synthesize the required protein particles, and this nascent proteins together become matured protein with the help of protease enzyme, and this is what we are targeting now, and it's called protease inhibitors. These cleaves the HIV precursor proteins, the GAG polyproteins, it's the covering proteins, into active proteins that are needed to assemble a new mature HIV virus. Protease inhibitors bind to proteases, preventing the cleavage. The final maturation process will be inhibited by the protease inhibitors. And we have drugs under this category. We have sacubitril, then nelfinavir, lopinavir, ritonavir. And here it is actually, I'll tell you why this combination. Ritonavir is a non-CYP3A4 inhibitor. So the therapeutic dose of ritonavir in combination with the other protease inhibitors may have a pharmacokinetic add-on or synergistic effect. Means ritonavir can inhibit the metabolism of lopinavir. I hope you are understanding. I'll repeat it. Lopinavir is basically metabolized by CYP3A4. At the same time, ritonavir can inhibit the CYP3A4 enzyme. So what happens if you are giving these drugs as a combination? Ritonavir will bind and inhibit the enzyme, that is CYP3A4, and therefore the availability or the concentration of the lopinavir in the blood may be high. Then we have indinavir, and of course lopinavir. This combination is called subtherapeutic boosting dose. Okay, please remember the rationale of this combination. And we have atazanavir, fosartanavir, tipranavir. Okay, these are ritonavir, etc. And you can see this is like most of these drugs can have some of the interaction with the enzyme, drug metabolizing enzyme. Fine. And here we have provided you the different dosage forms. And here you can see the common adverse effects: hyperbilirubinemia, rash, GI intolerance, caution with sulfur allergy, which is fosartanavir, hepatotoxicity associated with tipranavir. So these are the members of protease inhibitors. Now some common problems with the use of this group of drugs includes hypercholesterolemia. The continuous use of protease inhibitors can lead to hypercholesterolemia. Hypertriglyceridemia, is to be specific, can have increased LDL and decreased HDL level. There are the fibric acid derivatives and certain HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, so which can be treated along with the statins. We know the name of statins like rosuvastatin, atorvastatin, or the fibric acid derivatives like fenofibrate, gemfibrozil, etc. And another problem with the long-term use of protease inhibitors are the insulin resistance. Insulin resistance. That's also another problem. And this is not required actually. Here, basic this one use of ritonavir as a P450 inhibitor with the other PIs. And I told you what is exactly happening. This can increase the plasma concentration because it inhibits the metabolizing enzyme. Now, to be more specific, we have certain drug toxic profile, so the dose adjustment may be required in certain cases, especially renally eliminator drugs. When you give such drugs, you have to adjust the dose. You have to adjust the dose of the drugs, especially nucleoside reverse nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. Then you have to adjust the dose according to the creatinine clearance. If it is less than 50 ml per minute, or a patient is on dialysis, you have to think about dose titration in case of didanosine therapy, then emtricitabine, lamivudine, stoverine, tenofovir, zidovudine, all these drugs. Then when you come to the hepatic dose adjustment, the metabolism and the dose adjustment required non-nucleoside reverse transcriptors and protease inhibitors adjust for certain inducer substrates or inhibitors for P450 system, because you have seen that several of these protease inhibitors may interact with the enzymes, CYP3A4. So adjust for any sort of hepatic insufficiency, the dose adjustment required indinavir, fosrampanavir, then atazanavir. Okay, and it is better to avoid the use of ampanavir oral solution or fosrampanavir with or without ritonavir, tipranavir. These are the drugs should be avoided during hepatic impairment conditions in nation. All right. Now let's talk about the newer target of antiretroviral therapies. So far we have discussed three groups of drugs: nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, and protease inhibitors. So these are the drugs we have discussed. Now let's talk about some other targets. Here, NDRI inhibitors. This is actually a sort of fusion inhibitors. We have discussed about the fusion inhibitors. So NDRI inhibitors. Then integrase inhibitors, another option, because I've told you what is the role of integrase. Is an enzyme which helps to integrate the viral genome to the host genome. That's what the integrase enzyme does. The mature virus, that maturation process can be inhibited, and we already discussed about the major group of drugs, that is protease inhibitors. Now let's talk about the first members, that is the fusion inhibitors. So you know what is fusion? The process of binding of glycoprotein of virus with the CD4 and other co-receptors. That is called, and finally entry of the viral genome into the host cell is called fusion. So we have enfuvirtide. Enfuvirtide is a member which inhibits fusion of the viral and cell membranes mediated by glycoprotein 41 and CD4 interactions. So the interaction between viral glycoprotein 41 and CD4, host CD4 interaction will be inhibited. Blocks the interaction between the exactly to the specific N36 and C34 sequence of the GP41 glycoprotein. This prevents formation of a 6-helix bundle critical for membrane fusion and viral entry into the host cell. So I think it is not required for you. Just to remember, this is a fusion inhibitor which inhibit the binding of the viral GP41 and host CD4. So this is the picture. Now you can see this is the glycoprotein 41. Okay, and glycoprotein 120, and here this is the CD4 receptor of the host cell, and the core receptors we have CCR5 and CXCR4, etc. So altogether, this attachment is essential for the fusion of the viral particles. So this process will be inhibited by enfuvirtide. And now regarding the pharmacological aspects of enfuvirtide, we have it's an FDA approved drug. It's a polypeptide amino acid sequence having 36 amino acids. 90 milligram, usually it is given the parenteral. And so far, all the drugs, all the members, all the groups, what we have discussed was about the oral drugs. And this is something like which is given or parenterally, subcutaneously. The only approved antiretroviral drug that must be administered parenterally, which is enfuvirtide. Now, let's talk about the side effects. Of course, it's comparatively safer. Hypersensitivity at the injection site are noted rarely. Pain, erythema, and induration at the site of injections are the common problem. Sometimes what happens, like when you start this therapy, the viral particle, the virus gain resistance, and due to the altered structure of GP41, and you know that enfuvirtide bind between the GP41 and the host cells. So the altered, if a viral progeny with an altered glycoprotein 41 structure, what happened? The drug, we are talking about the enfuvirtide, and enfuvirtide cannot bind to the target site, and this is the basis of the resistance, drug resistance. It's only approved in treatment experienced adults who have evidence of HIV replication despite ongoing antiretroviral therapy. So this could be due to the drug resistance with the other towards the other group of drugs. So this is what happened here. Now HIV tropism. This is something like I wanted to tell you before we talk about the chemokine receptor antagonist. So I told you like virus actually attack the CD4 along with the core receptors. Which are the core receptors? CXCR4 and CCR5. Now what happens? Some viruses are more tropic towards the CXCR4 as a core receptor, and some of them are more specific towards CCR5. So because this is a difference, so the variations I've noted, and it is called HIV tropism. So if the virus is more specific towards the CXCR4 core receptor, this is called X4 T-tropic strains of HIV1, and if it is more specific towards CCR5 core receptor, then it's called R5. So this is how you classify the viral particles based on the affinity towards the core receptor, and we have two core receptors, CXCR4 and CCR5. All right. So we have developed this chemokine receptor antagonist. So which are the chemokine receptors? CCR5 and CXCR4. So Miraviroc and Vicriviroc. These are chemokine receptor antagonists. I repeat, Miraviroc and Vicriviroc. This is CCR5 or CXCR4 receptors on cell surface inhibit this chemokine receptors, which bind to one of these two receptors. Some patients' virus will bind to either receptors. Miraviroc blocks viral entry at CCR5. So the dose of 300 milligram BID orally available. And one thing you should remember that we've been talking about the other group, especially protease inhibitors and nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. These drugs are well known, well established drug interaction, especially it is due to the enzyme inhibition or enzyme induction. So if you're giving Miraviroc with the other drugs, those drugs are known to have a enzyme inhibition, then you can give 150 milligram BID. And if you're giving the drug with a non-enzyme inducer, then you have to double the dose, that is 600 milligram BID. So the normal dose is 300 milligram. With the enzyme inhibitor, you have to give half of the dose, and with the enzyme inducer, you have to give double the dose. The oral bioavailability of the Miraviroc is 23 to 33 percentage, dependent on food, which can decrease the food bioavailability along with the food. So that should be taken care, and you should not take the drug with the food. It is approved for use. Miraviroc is approved for use in HIV infection in case of adults who have baseline evidence of predominantly CCR5 tropic viruses. So this is more specific towards CCR5 tropic viruses. In 3 different doses available, 150, 300 and 600 milligram. And we have already discussed that what criteria you record 600 milligram when you record 150 milligram. Okay. Now the last group of drugs, we are going to talk about the last group of drug. It is integrase inhibitors. And you know what is integrase? It's an enzyme which is required for the integration of the viral genome into the host genome in the nucleus. So this process is something which takes place under the influence of with the help of integrase. So we are targeting this enzyme and preventing the integration of the viral genome to the host genome. All right. We have raltegravir and elvitegravir. There are 2 drugs. These 2 drugs, raltegravir and elvitegravir. Raltegravir and elvitegravir. 400 milligram BID of raltegravir is available. No induction or enzyme inhibition. No enzyme induction or no enzyme inhibition. It is metabolized by glucuronidation process, and it is generally safer compared to other group of drugs. Safer. Nausea, headache, fatigue are the common. Now let's talk about the drug interaction, which is already discussed in detail. I'll just summarize it so you can see this. Most of the drug interaction is due to the enzyme inhibition. Some of them are CYP3A4. You can see here substrate. These all are the substrates and inhibitors. Efavirenz inhibits CYP3A4. Ritonavir, yes. Secukinumab, 3A4. So you can see most of the protease inhibitors are either the substrate or enzyme inhibitors. Now some of the inducers are also there. Fine. This is a drug. Based on this, you can expect a therapeutic failure or adverse effects. Now this is well known, like what is the role of rifampicin, because it can induce the enzyme and may lead to therapeutic failure. And with azoles antifungal includes ketoconazole. Then clarithromycin is from the macrolide antibiotics, and oral contraceptives all can interact with the enzymes, drug metabolizing enzyme, especially CYP3A4 and all. So that in drug-drug interaction is quite possible. When combining protease inhibitors, often dose adjustments are necessary because one can inhibit the other metabolism. Now let's talk about the what are the goals of antiretroviral therapy. What are the goals of antiretroviral therapy? To achieve maximal and durable virological suppression. So you have to maintain the viral RNA copies less than 50s number per ml. So that is ultimately we are targeting with the antiretroviral therapy to reconstitute and preserve immunologic function, because you know that it is quite difficult, and you know that this is mainly attacking your immunologic function, especially by attacking the CD4 and the co-receptors. To reduce the morbidity and mortality associated with the AIDS and antiretroviral therapy. So this is very important. Like we are targeting to minimize the complications with the AIDS, but at the same time, therapy is also very important, and the adverse effects we have to take care. And overall, we have to target the quality of life of the patients. Now, you're supposed to initiate the therapy. Initiating the therapy. All symptomatic HIV patients. Asymptomatic patients when CD4 count falls 350 per microliter or less. All pregnant HIV positive women. all patients with HIV nephropathy, all HIV patients co-infected with HCV and HBV requiring treatment. Okay. So this is about NACO guidelines. NACO stands for National AIDS Control Organization of India. So here we have clinical stages of classified into 1, 2, 3, 4, and here this is according to the CD4 counts. Fine, this is how you treat cases. Now different therapeutic regimes are available, and all regimes contain 2 NRTIs and 1 NRTIs. Lamivudine in all regime. Choose one NNRTI from nevirapine or efavirenz. Then choose efavirenz in hepatic dysfunctional patients. And don't use in pregnancy. Which one? These drugs. Now first line regime. So these are the combinations available. Lamivudine is then zidovudine. Keep changing. Okay. 2 nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor plus 1 non-nucleoside. So this is NACO antiretroviral therapy. First line regimes are available and second line regimes are also there. Now in case of the resistance cases, you may go for alternative regime. Now let's talk about the post-exposure prophylaxis. So who are under the risk of PEP? Especially the healthcare workers and all. For low risk case, 2 drug regime. Zidovudine 300 mg plus lamivudine 150 mg BD for 4 weeks are the treatment protocol. Now, high risk category may require 3 drug regime. Zidovudine 300 mg, lamivudine 150 mg BD, and any of these, Indinavir 800 mg or a protease inhibitors TID for 4 weeks. Then regarding perinatal HIV prophylaxis, because if the mother is HIV positive, there is a chance during the delivery process. Okay, until then it is safer. The chances to get a fetus is very nil. So it takes place. The transmission usually takes place during the delivery. So to prevent that, zidovudine plus lamivudine and nevirapine can be given. So that's all about the treatment of HIV, that is about the antiretroviral therapy. So I hope you could follow. We have completed the entire session in 2 classes. If you have any doubt, you can always contact me. Thank you.